Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, it looks like you paid a lot of attention to these poses. It's looking pretty good. Let's take a look in Maya. One thing notice is you're interpenetrating the leg with the bucket here, so you're going to want to move the arm out. The other thing is you're going to want to get a better grip on the bucket because it's sort of floating above his hand, so you'll want to kind of really wrap the fingers around it or have this kind of really rest there. Also, I would recommend I would recommend parenting this to the hand. So I'm going to delete the keyframes off of this, and let's get it more nicely placed in the hand. Might have to make some additional adjustments to the fingers to get that to really look like it's holding. But then let's show our curves and select the curve parent and then shift select child P, and then now oh, did that not parent? Child parent. Oh, okay, I think maybe I did it backwards. Child parent P. Great. Okay. Sorry. Just had to undo child parent P. Okay. Yeah. And so then the trick is here where you want to release it. And so there's a couple ways of doing that, but what I like to do is, let me just find the pose where that lands here, is that at this point let's call this bucket hand, and I will duplicate that, Control D, bucket ground, and I will unparent the ground one. So now there's two buckets. There is the one that's parented to the hand, and then there's the one that is on the ground. And so the one that's parented to the hand, we don't want it to be visible here, right? So we're going to go back to this frame where it gets to the ground, and here's a ground one, and visibility is going to be off here, so keyframe that off here, and then one frame before that I'll keyframe that on. Wait, oh, I'm sorry, I did this backwards. It's the other way around. I just had the wrong one selected. Okay, so it's the bucket hand, same thing but with the bucket hand. Okay, so on this frame, we'll turn this off and keyframe that. Oh, gosh, I might want to delete history on that too. Alt Shift D. And keyframe that, and then go one frame back and turn that on. And I have auto keyframe on, so that'll be keyframe. So what happens is that the moment he sets it down, that first one is hidden. So it actually is still parented hand here, but it's hidden. And then this one, you just do the opposite, right? So here, we keyframe this on at this frame, and then we go one frame back and we turn it off. So what you have is two buckets, one that stays on the ground, one that's in its parent in his hand, and you just make a swap when it touches the ground. And you could animate this kind of rocking into place, like settling down on the ground if you wanted to. Alright, and let's kind of, I don't know why this is, you know what I might do? I think it's struggling with the cache, so I might turn that off, because it's kind of freaking out, and sometimes turning that off will, see how I don't have that problem where it's like the body's not updating correctly. So I would say this pose could use some more work. It's very stiff, it's very straight. You know, I would do stuff like, you know, spread out the feet a little bit, maybe angle them out a little bit. Oh, it's still doing some of that funny business. Don't know why. You know, maybe grab the root, maybe have it, you know, kind of maybe center them over one leg a little bit, you know, just try to get a little bit more of a natural pose, you know. Maybe rotate this a little bit one way, maybe rotate this one back, you know, maybe a little tilt to the head, you know, just to, you know, keep him alive, you know, keep him, he was looking too stiff. Oh, and then again, same with this, with the parenting and getting it properly placed in his hand, you know. So let's just kind of go through these poses. That pose is better, still a little stiff, maybe get a little bit of more bend and twist to the spine. Here, you know, he's pretty off balance, but it's during a movement, so that might be okay, but I'm feeling like that's too off balance, and more typically, again, sometimes you are off balance during a movement. The other thing is, it looks like you're moving your character from here. You should not move any of these light blue rings. You should only rotate these. So that should stay there, and then you should move him from this control, the one with the arrows on it. And that way you keep both of those on the character. So you're going to have to go back and kind of fix that on these poses, but it's sort of good that we caught it now. See how this is way up here? So this should be, in fact, what I might do is zero this out and delete these keyframes. Zero that out for the movement, because we don't want to move that. In fact, in my opinion, that should be locked. And then you'll need to go through these poses and move it back into place with this. And I think that he doesn't move, so I'm just middle mouse clicking on each of these to update the time without updating the position. And then so he'll stay sitting there now with that and using the proper control. Yeah, and just yeah, make sure this is parented to the hand, and so the object will move with the hand, because what we're going to do next is we're going to, you know, animating this separately is a nightmare. It needs to be parented to the hand, plain and simple, because otherwise you're never going to get it to all stick together. But what we're going to do next is, you know, change pretty soon is change it to auto tangents, and of course the that won't move with it. Another thing I'm noticing here is that there's a lot of moments like here where both feet are moving. So generally what you want to do is keep one foot planted and the other one moving. So if I select this one, middle mouse click here and hit S, so middle mouse click updates the time without updating the position, that foot will stay stable and this one can move. And then we'll do the opposite. This one can stay stable, middle mouse click here, S, and the other one can move. See that? So really you should only have one foot moving at a time. You know, it's, you know, it's, yeah, and again here, so maybe this one stays stable, so middle mouse click S, you know, while that one moves. And yeah, you can move both feet while you're sitting, like slide them forward. But I still think, you're a little bit more inclined to do one. But certainly when you're standing, you're only going to move one foot at a time because you're going to shift your weight over the foot that's carrying the weight, and then you lift your other foot. You can't have both feet in the air at the same time unless you're leaping, which obviously he's not doing right now. So make sure just to move one foot at a time and keep the other one still. Yeah, parent the objects to the hands, make sure the grip looks right on them, and yeah, keep moving forward, but it's a good start.